in Shmuel Aleph, and we're at chapter 2, verse 13. We were just learning that Bnei Eli were, what do you call it? They were bad people. It says Bnei Belial. They were the, how's he put, he said it nicely here. He called them, where are they? Unscrupulous men. That's what they said. Good. So how are the unscrupulous? So now we learn about Eli's children. It says Umishpa Kohanim et Ha'am. So what happens is you have, and this was the portion, as I think Rashi says. Yeah, Rashi says Hein Kavu Lahem Chog Zeh. They were fixed with this specific amount. Because they would not get any inheritance. All they would receive was the breast and the chaz and the shok, the thigh, I believe it's called, the thigh of the animal. So that was their thing. That's what it says. Mishpat kohanim elam. That was the judgment. That was the law, the judgment of the kohanim with the nation. Kol ish zovech zevach. Each man would slaughter a slaughtering, or any man would slaughter a slaughtering. Uba na'ar kohen. So what would happen? The na'ar, the servant of the kohen, would come k'mevashel habasar, when one cooked. That is what should have happened. When one cooked the flesh, v'mazleg shlosha shinayim biado, and a pitchfork of 3 teeth in it, 3-pronged pitchfork. Okay, so what happens is he explains it. He says, when one cooked the flesh of the peace offering, and besides the breast and the thigh, the servant of the priest would take the rest of the flesh, which rightfully belonged to the Israelite who offered the sacrifice. This was an unjust law exploiting the people. So they took more than they should have taken. That's what's going on. That's according to the Radak. This also defeated the purpose of the priestly shares of sacrifices. The divine purpose was to give the priests their due, so that they could devote themselves to the temple service without the cares of earning a livelihood. A priest who used the sacrificial flesh to satisfy his gluttonous appetite defeated this exalted purpose, thereby profaning the sanctity of the sacrifices. That one. They'll figure it out. Okay. So the Malbim says in this, Umishpat kohanim et ha'am, heim yazdu lehem mishpat. They established the law and the statute. Hivalti magi lehem ki lo zachto talmud Torah rak matnoku levad. They got more than the Torah had said that they should. Nimsa hayazeh avil mitzad hatchalat hachok. So that was considered the corruption from the side of the beginning of the statute. Shlahaya mishpat Hashem, that it was not within what Hashem had allowed. Rak mishpat kohanim, because he only allowed them to have the portion that shechaku chache avon. Okay, mitzad atzman chok sheyach chamas gadol. On one hand, what they did when they put this 3-pronged pitchfork into it and got more than they should, so then they transgressed stealing. Ki kol ish zovech zevach uva na'ar kohen hamazalei shlosh shanayim beyado. Like the verse said, any man who would come to offer sacrifice, the servant of the kohen would use this pitchfork of 3 forks. Shlosh shanayim lakach tamed shlosh chatichot shezeh kmot rav asher yakpidu alav v'lo nitan mechila. Because when you stick in a pitchfork, you have 3. You know what a pitchfork is, right? It's like a fork. I'm going to get more meat than I normally would. So that's what he's saying. They're going to get more, and they weren't given this. In other words, the Israelites were not giving this willingly. Okay. So this was also done b'mezid, on purpose, and it was done through the servant of the Kohen. Sheba b'derech almut al yedei ha'avadim hamepartzim b'derech b'zayon, and they would come by force and take this through the servants, and this was considered a derogatory way or a not a good way to do this. Ki roy she'hakohen yilech be'atzmo l'zechut mishulchan gavoa ish Hashem v'nachotol lo yedei mishartav. Because what should have happened was the Kohen should have got off his duff, and he should have gone to get the stuff. You don't send a servant to get your food, because you're eating from the shulchan, the table of God. So if you're doing that, you have to show proper etiquette, proper respect, and they didn't by sending their servant. They also didn't by grabbing too much. That's how the Malbim's understanding was going on. Then what it says, the next verse, it goes on, it's Yudalit, 14, Vihika Bekior or Bedod. So what happened was he would thrust it into the fire pot, or into another pot, or Bekalachat, or into a cauldron, or Beparo, or into or into the pan. Beparo, Kolashi, Yaleh, Hamazig, anything would come up with the pitchfork. Yikach Kohen Bo, the Kohen would take it. Kacha Yasu L'Chol Yisrael Habayim Im Sham L'Shilo. Thus they would do to all the Jewish people who came there to Shiloh. So the Malbim continues to say that Shehika Bekiyo Bedod. So they would they would thrust it in. They would throw it into these cooking utensils, the fire part of the pot. Ki hakli shabon bashal zevach hayazel lefiyah zevach sheshor gadol hayu mevashlim bekiyor gadol. Because we go according to the animal. If there's a big animal, they put into the big parts. Katan hayum mevashlim bedud, and the small one they would put in the smaller parts. V'gedia katan mevashlim beparo, and the goats, the goats are even smaller. They were cooking a paror. V'ein min haroy she'ichu min haparor shebo mibashel hagedi chela gadol kamo mikinikir shebeshor gadol. And you couldn't use, in other words, you wouldn't want to use one pot for everything. You want to be respect, because how would it look if I put a little goat into a gigantic pot to cook? It would look very cheap, as compared to if I have a goat, an ox, I can't put that into a small pot, because then it's not going to cook right. Yeah. So v'hem shahashvu midatan ben pikir ben bedud ben parolachu gimel chaticha gedola haolot al shosh shnei mizalig. So they equated all the different measures between whether it was the one or the other pan, and they would bring up this meat, 3 portions from with this pitchfork. Ubal tomar kipara katan lo yervidu ad mazlig ad arichato v'alav v'alu alav chaticha katanot. And don't say that when they had these pans, these small pans, that they wouldn't go down with the pitchfork and al ze amar hikat shetamid ayama kibakoach. They all, because the Torah says hika, which means they always did it with force. They, in other words, to get as much as they could. Bin sha'alu alav chaticha gadolot lo pidu bein nechatim katanim gadolim, and they didn't make a distinction whether it was a big part or a small part. Rakol asher yala hamazleg, mazleg. Yeah, mazleg. Yikach a Kohen, that anything would come up with the pitchfork, the Kohen would take it. Okay. V'chein lo chalku ben ha-zovachem sharoi shmin ha-oni lo yichu. And they also didn't separate, they didn't divide between the sacrificers, the ones who brought sacrifice that was fit to give from the poor. Lo yichu kamot rav kamot min asher. So they didn't make the things whether rich or poor. V'chein mi shebnei beitum merubim yiftachu lekacha. Whoever had more sons, they would have less to take. So, and they didn't distinguish with that, and didn't separate. And they did this with all of Bnei Israel that came there equally. So that was considered the ultimate crime. By the way, now if you, with all this knowledge, you understand why people weren't coming anymore. As we said before with the Eli, people, what's Hannah's husband's name? Eli, not Eli. What's his name? What's the husband's name? Elkanah. We said Elkanah was the only one who was coming up, right? His town wasn't coming up. Nobody else was being sacrificed. Only he was. And so the question is, why? What happened? Why did everybody fall off the wagon? Only one guy decided to to go to shul, as it were. Why did everybody else stay home? And the answer you're finding out now is because Bnei Eli ruined it. Because they were stealing from everybody. So religion became a moneymaker. It wasn't the first time, won't be the last time. But that's what makes people go away from shul. Because they see all of them, it's just making money. All you want to do is rip me off. If you treat me right, if you do what you're supposed to do, I understand that. God said you have to do certain things. Fine. So I'm willing to give to God. And I'm willing to do what God wants. But if you're going to rip me off and nobody is going to reprimand you for that, it means the whole thing is corrupt. So if the religion is corrupt, if your temple is corrupt, or whatever, Mishkan is corrupt, I don't have to go there. Because it doesn't matter. You're not giving me what's due to me. So I'll eat it. There's a book about mikvah. What was it called? It's a Hebrew book, small book. I have it in my office. I can't remember what it's called right now. But he gives a history of mikvah. And along with the laws. It is an introduction. He said, you can't just go to for the women. They can't just go to a bath and say they've washed themselves. You have to go to a proper mikvah. Because what was happening, people when they go to the mikvah wasn't filtered like we have today. Today, mikvah are very nice. Yeah. Today is basically a pool that has chlorine going through, and then you turn off the filter when people are going in. But it's a clean. It's clean for the most part. It's clean. It's nice. It doesn't look disgusting. In the old days, you would find a river or whatever the case is going to be. But if you go to the bore and everybody's jumping in, the water is dirty. It's murky. That's why also, by the way, people used to have in caves, right? And you used to go into the cave and you would come out, the water was putrid. But it was good water because of the measure. It was the right amount of water. So what would happen? People come out of the mikvah and they would go into a shower to wash, or whatever, they would wash. So the halacha became that you cannot take a shower after the mikvah. Because people were saying, because they thought that it was, instead of the mikvah being what cleanses me, it's really the shower. Or whatever they were cleaning themselves with. So that's why it's halacha. That's why after the mikvah, you're not allowed to take a shower right away. Well, now again, it's common sense because you're in bleach, you're in chlorine anyway. You're in chlorinated water these days, so it's really no problem. But but imagine in those days, here you are, you got yourself ready, wash yourself a half hour in the bathroom, boom, you go into a putrid water, but you're kosher now, okay? And that's what people are saying. This is a joke. They didn't understand it. So he was saying it's not good enough just to take a bath. You have to do it properly. You have to follow laws. It has to be a proper mikvah. And as a result of that, by the way, mikvah usage really took a dive. Mm-hmm. Okay, now we have good mikvahot out there. Everything's wonderful, and still the Reform and Conservatives don't go. There's a lot of people who don't go. But within the Orthodox, I'm not sure, I hope I'm right, that I would say 99.9% of the Orthodox women go. I hope. Okay. An interesting side point to that mikvah conversation is that the Reform movement, I think they were the ones who started it, tried to not be for religious reasons, chas v'shalom, but they tried to get women to go back to the mikveh.
Really?
For spiritual reasons, not for religious reasons.
Oh.
They didn't want to say that. It may actually be for religious reasons. I don't know. It could be just a good sales pitch, and I wouldn't mind that. But they're feminists and blah blah blah. So they wanted to make it so that the women would want to go to mikveh. So they turned it into a spiritual experience, and they actually started a little bit to go. The problem was, of course, that they would have to go to the Orthodox mikvaot, and they didn't like that. So now they want to make their own mikvaot, which of course they don't do anyway. So it's a double-edged sword. But they want to raise money to do it, but then you have to do it right if you want to get that. Okay, I'm just saying that's a side point, but it's interesting that some certain mitzvot come back. But the reason all these things fall apart, I hold, and getting it from this, is because people have the wrong perception. Because leadership, in this case, Eli, doesn't reprimand the people who are breaking the law, and so everybody says it's a joke. So that again goes back to the beginning of the story. Why didn't people go? Because of Bnei Eli, and they're using their servants. They're denigrating the whole service. I can't do it. It's not good for me. I'll let you do it, and I'm going to steal from you, and nobody's saying anything. It's all a fake. So that's how people are thinking. Okay, so let's go on. V'gam terem yaktirun erechev, and also before they would make the fat smoke, uva nara kohen. The servant of the Kohen would come, to say to the person who is slaughtered. So tana basar, give me meat. Litzlo lekohen, to roast for the priest. And he would not take from you. He will not take from you the cooked meat, but rather he wants it raw. Why would you want it raw versus cooked? Why would you want raw meat versus cooked? Get more. When you cook this shrinkage.
Yeah.
So you get more meat.
You gotta cook it sooner or later, though.
Yeah, but it's still nicer meat. The here when it's cooked, it has a limited shelf life. So also he says in so the Malbim continues to say also another way that they misused the sacrifices was before they would before the fat would be burned, and then the servant would come and say, give me meat. Because the meat that was taken after the fats were burned was already considered cooked meat. And they wanted to take raw meat in order to roast it. Instead of cooking it, they wanted to roast it. And so they want to take it before it was roasted, but that was not the portion of the Kohanim from the people that were supposed to take it from the pot or the cauldron or whatever it was. Nidchem Chaim. They shouldn't have. It shouldn't be raw. V'chein Amar. That's why they said Tana Basar. Give the meat. Give it to us as it is now, because that way they become rich for two reasons. One, Shatitenk, if you shatir, you will give it according to what is wanted. Because that's going to be less. In other words, if I cook it, if I take it while it's raw, I'm going to get more with the pitchfork, right? Because that's the difference, by the way. If I cook it, if I grab it, remember, I'm putting the pitchfork in. So the pitchfork is going to pick up pieces. Yeah. Well, if they're already cooked, I'm going to pick up less than if I pick up when it's raw.
Break off into pieces easier.
Yeah, right. Huh. Not sure how that would work, but yeah, that's what he's saying. And then also, v'lo lekach mimcha, and not take from you boiled meat, rather he should give it raw. V'tov lach l'tei b'sar chai v'vushal, and it's better for you to give me the raw meat than the cooked meat. Shetishrech l'tro b'taracha b'shulo, because then you won't have to, because otherwise you need to go through the problems of cooking it. And to put in spices, so it's really to your advantage. They were saying, it's to your advantage to give it to me raw, because then why should you have to cook it? Why should I do anything? Let the Kohen do it. Meanwhile, the Kohen gets more for that. Okay. So then, Vayomer elav ha'ish. So the man would say to him, Katir yaktirum b'kayom ha'chelev. Let them make the fat smoke now. And then take what you want. I don't care. And he said to him, the Nahar Kohen would say back to the Jew, the regular guy, no, you're going to give it now. And if not, I'll take it by force. Okay, so that's your choices. You can do it the easy way, you can do it the hard way. So the Malbim explains, I'm sorry. Vayomer, so the Ha'ish Amar Elav, the man said to him, She'eno rotze b'arvacha zu achas shadayin lo hiktira chelev. They weren't interested in this profit, as it were, until after the fat is burnt, because that's the mitzvah, burn the fats. And so he says, Ein roy lahaktim chelik adam chelik gavoa. It's not proper to take my portion before Hashem's portions. You have to give Hashem, then you can do it. B'shagam lama t'mayer. And anyway, why are you in such a rush anyway? Kati yaktiru kiyom. First burn the fat. Halo hayom yaktiru v'lo yalinu. Today you burn the fat and don't leave them over to the next day. V'yelecha basar hayom l'shlot. And then you can have, then the meat will be for you today to roast, and then you can take however you want. You can take a cooked, you can take a raw. You can take what the portions that you want. So they said, "Hey, the Nahar Kohen said, no, we don't want to wait. We want it now." And if you don't give it to us willingly, we'll take it by force. Even though it's not part of our what we should be getting. And with this, by that statement, they demonstrated that they were prepared to oppress and to steal as they desired. So again, that's why you're seeing that it's not a good situation. Okay, and the next verse, Yud Zayin, Vatihi chatad ha'na'arim gedolim ma'od epnei Hashem. So the sins of the young men were great and before Hashem. Ki na'atzu ha'an Hashem and minchat Hashem, because the men had spurned or despised the offerings of Hashem. And so the Malbim says, the young man with the I'm sorry, that's the wrong one. V'atiyah chatat na'arim, so the sins of the na'arim, rasem hagam shehaya b'zeh rak chatat shogeg, that this was only, it wants to imply, by using the word chatat, that this was a shogeg, an inadvertent sin. As the Malbim explains, that's the difference between the word chet, which is inadvertent or by mistake, and avon, which is purposeful. Because in truth, because in truth, it was permissible for them to take the meat to roast before they burned the fats. The only prohibition is that you can't eat the meat before you burn the fats. And so the sin was, the inadvertent sin, was only in the taking it. acher matanat ha'ishim, because they only merited the meat after giving the fire offerings. V'kodem lahaktara, and before the smoking, ein lahem shum zechut, there was no merit in they didn't have rights to the meat. As it says in the verse, their portion I have given to them from the fires. So our rabbis explain in Torah Kohanim, there is only a portion for them after the gift of the fires. So this was the second sin of the young men. Lo chatat Kohanim. It wasn't the sin of the Kohanim, because the Kohanim that were the servants of the Kohanim did this on their own. They were doing this on their own apparently. This was very big in front of Hashem, very big sin in the Son of Hashem, in front of Hashem. Because due to this action, Ni'atsu ha'anashim and minchat Hashem, the man despised the offerings of Hashem. Shebazu ha'amal yedei zeh edakadshim. The people of the nation were denigrating through this action the kadshim, the holy sacrifices, va'ikavodam kal beineim, and their honor became a less in their eyes. So that's what happens. Again, you're seeing something that, like I said, these books constantly show you what we did wrong and what we continue to do wrong. When leaders denigrate the Torah, so then people follow suit. Because they say, if leaders are doing this, what are they doing? It's not worth a plug nickel. And so they want to take the meat. They want to do all this thing. They don't want to do anything properly. So if that's the case, it can't be anything that's really important. So if that's the case, it's we'll let it go. Okay, and so that's where we'll stop. We'll start next week with Shmuel on 18.